All right, guys. I'm going to do one quick video really quick to walk through the newest tool at fantasygolfbag.com. So you guys can take a peek at this week for Memorial and obviously provide any feedback or any other wish list items, working through a couple additional pieces, which shouldn't take too long to add in there, but wanted to go ahead and get this up on Tuesday. And you guys can tinker with it this week and the next couple weeks as we go into the US Open and the British Open. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The newest tool, somewhat of a tool, certainly a tool, but it's not going to be like a research tool. So custom simulations. We'll hop in here. So this is going to allow you to run based on our numbers and course history data, course recent form data, etc. We have all these different types of simulations that you can run. So we have tournament. We can walk through a couple of these really quick because they don't take too long to run, but I'll walk through from top to finish or top to bottom, start to finish. So somewhat simple. I'll try to make this as intuitive as possible. You have several sliders here. Course history weight, so you can add more or less weight to the history at the golf course. So, if a course has been, typically if a course, just an aside, if a course has like major renovations or is used multiple times in a year. So let's say for some reason, we'll use Muirfield Village this week. So let's just assume Muirfield Village, 2 years ago had a big renovation. Likely the PGA Tour will consider that a new course, and the data past 2 years is on a different course ID. It doesn't get pulled in here. But if it's a course that's been around for a long time, or if you think scoring has drastically changed, maybe like the 3M Open or Rocket Mortgage, the first couple of years was really easy, and now it's starting to be more difficult for whatever reason. Long story short, you could put more or less course history weight in there. For me, if the course has been around for a while and it seems pretty, like if you look at the winning scores this week, you're looking at right around 10 under par, 9 under par, 13 under par, 11 under par. So anything to our default to, a little bit, more, or this 3/4 range is totally fine. If it's a course that changes a lot, or you think it's, you want to use just the last couple of years of course history data, then obviously less is going to be what you use. But for most people and most use cases, it's not going to change a ton for most courses, but default, you can use more. I would stay, in my opinion, I would stay anywhere in between these three sections. So default, slightly less course history, slightly more. That's all fine. It's not going to change a ton. It just will give a little bit more weight to a few more years or a few less years. Course par, obviously, this should align with the course for that week, but we've seen where courses have changed for US Opens, or for whatever reason, they changed it from a par 72 to a par 71. This at least allows you to update it without me having to manually do anything. So there's no oversight. You guys can change this. The goal is to just match up whatever the course is that week. So if for some reason next year Muirfield Village changes to a par 71, we'll update this to par 71, still use the same course history data, just change the course par, and all the simulations will run off an adjusted course par. The strokes gain versus spectrum data, so you can update this to use, closer to the strokes gain numbers or closer to the spectrum. 50-50 is the default, and I would just kind of leave it there. Same with the weather split advantage. So any of these, just literally just slide it left or right. You can click to it, whatever you want to do. All that works pretty easily. And what does that do? It spits out these numbers. This is our Fantasy Golf Bag strokes gain. So this is what we expect per round for each of the players in the field. So from Scotty all the way down to, let's see who's last, Nick Dunlap, losing a shot and a half, over a shot and a half per round to the field. So this is the expected strokes gained. And then this is the expected scoring. So obviously this is very important for DFS and obviously it aligns with whatever the tournament scoring is going to be. So this is the expected scoring per player. So none of this stuff is really, you can export this and use it forever for whatever you want. Ideally, we'll have like underdog sims or prize picks or something, and we can match it up with that. But this is just the baseline numbers that we expect for each player at Muirfield Village this week. Then going down here is the simulation stuff. So we have tournament, DraftKings Classic, which is the full week slate, DraftKings Showdown, single round. It's just 1 through 3. Round 4 Showdown's a little bit different, so I need to add that. But DraftKings Showdown 1 through 3 will be right here. And then FanDuel single round is the same for all 4 rounds, so that will apply each day. There's no salaries into this yet. We do have the regular projections for Showdown, so those salaries are there. This won't have salaries, but it'll have the projections, so you can dump it into whatever you want to use. So we can do tournament. We'll start with tournament. Pretty simple. You get a couple options here. Number of runs is just the simulation runs. So you can run one simulation if you want to, all the way up to 100,000. Obviously, it's going to take probably 5 to 10 minutes for 100,000 runs. You could do 1,000, 10,000. I just run 10,000, maybe 50,000 if I have a little more time. But like for testing, we'll just do 1,000. You can do a cut. So like for most weeks, you would want to do a cut, and you can adjust the cut line if we need to do that. We can turn it off for this week, and then we can hit run simulation. So this will run through 1,000 tournament simulations using your data from above. Give you a little countdown timer here. So this one takes 25 seconds or so. Let that finish. And then bang, we got our nice tournament results here. We have obviously player ID. This is the PGA Tour player ID, so you can match it up to other tools if you want. But you got Scotty, Morikawa. This is their win percentage, top 5, top 10. Made cut, obviously no cut, so they're going to make the cut 100% of the time. Their average finish position and the average score. Again, this is including all their good rounds or good events and bad events in 1,000 simulations. If you don't like the probability part, which I prefer, you can use American odds, and this will adjust everything from probability to American odds. So you can bump this up against whatever book you want to use, and you can see how this compares. So obviously, if this number is a lower number than whatever the book is, this provides some type of expected value for you. Generally speaking, it's nicer to just use probability. It's easier to compare, but you could certainly do it this way and go on down the list and get a nice, and you can export this as well. So export this and do whatever you want. But yeah, probability, top 5, top 10, bump that up against a book. Same thing for DraftKings Classic. It's going to do the same thing. So whatever number of simulations, obviously a cut is important for DK Classic. We'll do run simulation for no cut. This will rerun. It'll provide some of the same metrics that the tournament simulation has, because it's important for DraftKings Classic. But obviously you'll get the fantasy scoring. So this one will spit out, and we get a different look at the simulation. So Scotty, average fantasy points, this is his mean projection. His min and max, so this is, in 1,000 simulations, which truthfully is not a ton. I would prefer 10,000 or more. But this is their min and max, their average, standard deviation for all their simulations. Their average score shows up again. Made cut, missed cut, that's included, average finish, and then it includes their scoring as well. So there's simulations for the entire event. So this is average eagles, birdies, pars, bogeys, doubles throughout the event for all the simulations. So you can go down there, export this. The main thing here is obviously looking at the fantasy points and the standard deviation. Let's do Showdown. This will run a little bit faster. Obviously, it's one round. So this will take about 5 to 10 seconds. And now you get single round Showdown numbers for each of the players. So different scoring, obviously. There's more incentive for birdies, less for bogeys and doubles. But you get the same thing. So you get the Eagles birdies breakout on the right, and you get the fantasy points, min and max, and standard deviation. So that goes all the way down for everybody in the field. And then for those that do play FanDuel, which I would encourage you, if you have an account, to check it out, because it is pretty soft and not the biggest contest, but definitely certainly an edge on the weekend. There's a lot of lineups that are just jamming the top 10 guys. So then this is the FanDuel. FanDuel has much different scoring than DK. You can see here, like 20 points is good, which is funny compared to DraftKings. So this is it. So you guys can export this. It'll show up in Excel or in a CSV, and then you can always kind of change any of this stuff if you want. Most of this stuff is pretty much baseline numbers. Probably in a future state, you'll be able to import your own strokes gain metric or adjust these and make it custom. So like if you wanted to bump Scotty down to 3 instead of 3.45, or Morikawa or Fleetwood's a good one. Maybe we want to put Fleetwood down here, just behind Cantley. So like 1.65, we'll put him. And that will obviously adjust all of his expected scoring and then adjust his simulation results. So that's it for now. Head-to-heads and 3 balls are up next, so stay tuned for that.